All right, y'all. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Detox Divas. And I have to tell you, this one was hard for me to get through. In fact, I had tears in my eyes on a couple of these screens because of some of the information that I uncovered. Some of this you may have heard before, but it's always a great reminder. So tonight we're going into something extremely precious, our babies. And Poisoned Before They Can Crawl is the title, and it's the toxic truth about our kiddos. So, before we get into the rest of the conversation, I have to pause for a moment and introduce you to Paula Scarcella and Ben Scarcella. Y'all, if you are not involved with this company or you are not plugged into the trainings and the groups and stuff, you're really missing out on how much love Paula has for us. I don't know how many of you know that, but we just got a raise again. I think we had 3 or 4 last year, but on the Go to Sana side, she revamped the compensation plan a little bit to make it so that everyone earns more, not just the people at the top, which is one of the things that, this industry is criticized for. And she's constantly trying to find a way to make it so that we can all earn and have that same chance of earning. And so, we're so fortunate to have such a heart-centered CEO. One, to take care of us. Number two, more importantly, to take care of our clients. Her dedication, I'm going to use the word, I'm going to say it, her obsession about pure products is beyond anything I've ever seen, which gives me, somebody that shares with my network, it gives me the comfort knowing that I never have to question whether or not the company has changed the ingredients, because I've seen that over and over again, where a company will have a great product, they'll get a lot of sales, and then they'll cheapen the ingredients to make a bigger profit because it's selling so well. And that is not our style here. It is a pure plant promise at all times, and you're only going to get the purest of ingredients. That's a fact. Like, she won't take a second inline ingredient. It is always the number one. And she does that to protect her dear, dear heart sister friend, Alexandria Brighton, who is our formulator. She formulates these products with heart. It's kind of like grandma's spaghetti sauce. You can never quite get it right. Well, we have Alexandria's actual formulations. We're the sole owners of those, and the only one that has the ability to use her name and share the formulations that she creates. She's got over 40 years of experience in the Ayurvedic world, plant medicine. She is recognized for her exceptional skill in creating these synergistic products. Now, we've talked about synergy on many of our calls. And part of that is the synergy is it builds upon each other. So you have this really great ingredient here, you've got this really great ingredient here, but when you put them all together, it makes just this phenomenal formulation. And that's what we are able to offer our people, our network, and take for ourselves. And if you go back through my videos, you're going to see a huge transformation in who I have become because of these products. And it's not just healing, it's healing at the cellular level. Like, I'm aging backwards. And I know many of you are the same. Like, I see Coach Seymour, I see Miriam and Jessica, and all these people on here are taking these products, and you can just see such a phenomenal change. Well, it's because our formulator is so phenomenal. There's no one like her in the entire world. But let's do this. So I want to make sure that we do this disclaimer to protect the company, because natural products are not supported, promoted, or endorsed by the federal government. The statements made on the website, any literature, presentations have not been evaluated by them. Our products are not intended to diagnose, prevent, treat, cure any diseases. And the information on our website's literature and presentation is not intended as medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm a research freak. And you do have the sole responsibility while watching this to do your own research on whether or not these products or this information aligns with you and your health goals. So my name is Tina. My mission isn't about selling quick fixes, and it is totally about real transformation, lasting change, and the mindset shift that makes it all possible. I believe in terrain healing, where our body is our garden, and when we feed it right, we flourish. And at the root cause of all of that, we dive deep into that, into the root cause on these Detox Diva calls. I'm a wife, a mom, a grandma, a homesteader with a new puppy who's 5 months old today. Just wink, wink. I love my baby girl. I am extremely passionate about helping other people see themselves in the best way, but also feel their best in the health way and inside and out. And as a founder of the Detox Divas and Mindset Coach, I love sharing these simple tricks. And as a founder of the Detox Divas, I just want to welcome you to tonight's call and just thank you so much for your time and showing up for yourself. So let's get in it. So toxins can cross. I want to know in the chat, did you know that the toxins can cross the placenta? The placenta is that safety bubble around the fetus that protects it while the mom is growing it on the inside. But because of everything we're exposed to now, the womb is not a safe bubble anymore. And the findings have shown that the placenta is not impermeable shield. Toxins from air, water, food, cosmetics, cleaning products, and occupational exposures can cross that barrier and accumulate in the fetal tissue as they're developing. And the womb is meant to be the safest place for this baby to grow. But today's chemical-laden world, it can become the first battleground. And this toxic imprint can also and when these chemicals get into the body, they can mess up that baby really bad. And with really important things, while it's still being in the formulation, while it's still being built and growing the arms and the legs and developing the heart and the brain and the respiratory and all of that. And it's going to disrupt how the brain and spine grow. And that's called the neural tube. And it's how the immune system forms, which helps protect you from getting sick. It affects how your hormones work. The baby's hormones are disrupted, which are like little messengers that help you grow, use energy, and go through puberty, and how your body turns on and turns off certain genes within the body, which can change how your body works for your entire life. And parents who take a proactive detox steps before and during pregnancy, detoxing, cleaning up diet, switching to non-toxic personal care, avoiding fragrances, pesticides, and drinking filter water. Those mamas and daddies are not paranoid. They are protecting the foundational health of their baby. So there has been a groundbreaking study, and the Environmental Working Group found 287 industrial chemicals in pollutions in the umbilical cord blood. Blood samples from newborn babies, 100% of the cord blood tested came back positive and included things like pesticides, herbicides, flame retardants, plastics like BPA and phthalates, heavy metal, lead, mercury, and cadmium is in that precious little baby. Industrial solvents and byproducts from Teflon, cookware, and stain-resistant coatings. So those are all really big things that you really got to try to avoid. And some chemicals that babies are showing up with in that cord blood were banned decades ago, but they still remain in our environment because of the water and the pollution and the recycling system with the way the water works. So the placenta does filter, but it cannot block everything. And the placenta is a powerful but imperfect filter, kind of like our skin, right? Our skin is our largest organ, and that helps protect us. And while it blocks some of the bacteria and the large particles, it cannot protect against the countless small synthetic chemicals in today's environment. Even prenatal vitamins have synthetics and fillers in it. So it's always best to really do your due diligence when you're, pregnant, obviously, in products that you take. And chemicals like BPA from the plastics, the phthalates from personal care products that the mom is using, and plastics, the pesticides from food and water, And heavy metals like lead, mercury, and arsenic cross directly through the placenta into the baby's developing bloodstream. And these chemicals are small enough to pass through the placenta barrier and accumulate in that tissue. And the baby's liver, kidneys, and detoxification pathways are so immature, meaning they can't filter out all these toxins like an adult body can. And even we struggle with that, right? Like, I don't know how many of you have done a liver cleanse with me in the past, but don't you just feel absolutely amazing after the liver cleanse? Like you've got your liver flowing, you've done some work on your lymphatic system. We are creating this environment within our body that our detox pathways are open. It's finally releasing some of that garbage. But the baby can't do that yet. It's not developed enough. But they're being bombarded with all of these chemicals. And the toxins that enter the baby's body build up in the brain. That's going to affect neurodevelopment. It builds up in the fat tissue where many fat soluble toxins are stored. We talked about that during our insulin series in the brown fat. And in vital organs like the heart, the thyroid, and the lungs. And these toxins can interfere with the hormone signaling, organ formation, immune system development, setting the stage for long-term health challenges. And one thing, it is on their hormones. But research shows that some of these chemical exposures can actually alter the gene expression through epigenetic changes. We're going to talk about that in a second, meaning they just don't impact the baby. They can affect future generations. So I don't know how many of you have heard, when we're going to talk female. So when a female baby is being formed, not only does it already carry the genetic makeup to have the eggs from its own self, but it's also going to have eggs and DNA from its mother and its grandmother. And so when that DNA is altered, that is transferred into generations to come. So we're talking generational curses with the toxic society that we are growing our children and our families in, which we grew up in. And these toxic exposures can increase the risk of developmental delays, behavior issues like ADHD, allergies, asthma, metabolic disorders, and hormone imbalances later in life. I don't know about you guys, but I remember when I was in elementary school, we had one kid in my entire fifth grade class. And my school is kind of big. It had 3 fifth grade classes, 25, 30 kids each. We had one kid with diabetes in the entire classroom or fifth grade. And I remember that being so crazy that he had this. Like, I couldn't wrap my head around how somebody my age in fifth grade could have this and would have to go to the nurse and have to have these snacks on hand. And of course, the snacks that they sent were garbage, right? Because they're quick little snacks to get them over that sugar slump. But now, you see it all the time. And so where are these chemicals coming from? They're everyday sources. We've got our cleaning products. We have our personal care products, the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food that we eat, and those plastic containers. I am slowly making the switch. I call myself low tox. I do not call myself no tox because that's hard. It's hard to get to the place where you're fully living a toxic-free lifestyle, but those little changes that you can make are huge changes, not only for yourself, but for generations to come. And so the new EPA data from May 2024, this just a year ago, shows PFAS in 33% of the tested water systems, while EWG, Environmental Working Group MAP, indicated that 6,189 known contamination locations as of May of 2024. And then the U.S. Geological Study also suggested that between 71 and 95 million people in the lower 48 states may rely on groundwater with detectable PFAS concentrations for drinking water. Now, why would it be the lower 48? Well, river running downstream. And, like I'm in Iowa, we've got a huge nitrate problem right now in our drinking water, where actually they just said that pregnant women, it's safe for them to drink again, but you shouldn't cook with it. Now, where's the thought process in that? Why would they even say that, right? Like you can't cook with it, but if you're pregnant with a baby in your belly, it's safe for you. And that's because I'm in a huge agricultural state. And if they trace that upriver and found that one of the farmers was over polluting or overspraying or something like that, then that farmer could get in a lot of trouble. And if there's one thing that you ever take away from any of my calls, it's this: reheating food in plastic in the microwave doesn't just passively expose you to chemicals, it actively pumps toxins and microscopic plastic fragments into your food, increasing inflammation, hormone disruption, cardiovascular harm, and even cancer risk. It's not just inconvenient, it's dangerous. So please switch to glass or ceramic containers, and please stop microwaving plastic in the microwave. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago when I brought up the pallets of bottled water that were sitting outside in an 80-degree day with the afternoon 2 o'clock sun shining right on those bottles of water. It's the same concept. Those plastics are leaching into that water and we're drinking that. So if you can switch to a tumbler and have that with you at all times, that would be the best option. But please, please do not microwave. I mean, microwave alone, with the radiation and the way it kills off all of the nutrients in the food. Yeah, Ruthie said microwaves are banned in Russia. I'm the first generation of microwave people that have grown up with microwaves. Like I remember when we got our first microwave in the house, and it was kind of a big deal because it was a new thing. My mom went to a microwave cooking class, and for the next 3 to 4 months, we had all these recipes that she made in the microwave. And, so there's a lot of toxins that have been built up over our lifetime because of that. And then I started thinking, formula. When did formula become popular? Well, late 50s and 60s. And so, like, I'm part of the first generation that was formula raised because it was new and convenient. And of course, the advertising pushed that. And there have been countless recalls on formula. And back then, they didn't have the nutritional value that it does have now, even though it's still okay. I know some women can't breastfeed, but there are chemicals in the formula too, and so we're feeding these newborns all of this junk all the time. And then there's widespread chemical exposure in America, and the CDC biomonitoring program found that nearly every American has BPA from the plastics, phthalates from personal care products, PFAS, also known as the forever chemicals, like those don't go away, they're with you for life. And those are from the water and the nonstick coatings on our food, the pesticide residue from food. I know with, I think it's coffee. Yes, coffee. They'll spray Roundup on it after they harvest it to make it dry faster. And so if that plant is still alive and they spray Roundup on it, what's being absorbed into the plant and the bean, right? And I've taught on, when I've used to teach CBD classes, hemp pulls the toxins out of the soil. It's a great soil purifier, but getting your CBD from an organic farm is the only way to go. Otherwise, the stem, stalk, flowers, and seeds all have those chemicals in it. And then you've got lead and mercury from the industrial pollution. And all of this has led to an increase in ADHD, autism, cancer, obesity, hormones, and infertility. Like it's an epidemic that really nobody's talking about. And I'm so glad that I'm given this platform and you guys show up to share this, because it's quite scary, isn't it? So the results that we are seeing in our children. So in the past 50 years, we've seen a dramatic increase in the following. So birth defects. The prevalence of gastrocirrhosis, which is a serious abdominal wall defect, rose by 30% between 1995 and 2012. That increased from 3.6 to 4.9 cases per 10,000 live births. Childhood cancers have increased 14.23 cases per 100,000 children in 75 to 79 to 18.89 per 100,000 in 2010 to 2019. That's a 33% increase in cancer in our children. That makes me choke up right there. And then we have ADHD and learning disabilities. Sorry, let me get a drink. So the US children, the proportion of US children ever diagnosed with ADHD grew about 6.1% in 1997 to 11.4% in 2022, which is an 87% rise of these poor babies getting ADHD. And then we have the autism spectrum, and that is an 87% rise from 1997 to 2022. The early puberty in boys and girls, 8-year-olds jumped from roughly 1 in 150 to 1 in 31. That's a 357% increase in early puberty in boys and girls. And then childhood obesity and insulin resistance. The obesity prevalence among US youth ages 2 to 19 tripled from about 5% in 1970s to 19.3% in 2017. And type 2 diabetes incidence in adolescents doubled from 9 to 18 cases per 100,000 people between 2001 and 2009. That's an 8-year difference, and the cases for type 2 diabetes doubled in these sweet babies. These are environmental epidemics. These are not genetic ones. So what does epigenetics tell us? Epigenetics, for those of you that don't know, because I was unfamiliar with this term a while ago, it refers to the changes in the way the genes within the body express themselves and that occurred during that fetal development. We just talked about that with all the chemicals this poor baby's being exposed to without altering the underlying DNA sequence. And so these changes are influenced by parental environment and can have long-lasting impacts on the offspring's health and disease susceptibility later in life. And so your genes are like the recipe book, and epigenetics is the chef choosing which recipe to run. And that exposure to those plastics, the pesticides, and other toxins can activate the genes that drive the inflammation, the metabolic diseases, and the cancer. And those same toxins can silence genes responsible for detoxification, DNA repair, and immune defense. Poor nutrition and chronic stress reinforce these harmful gene switches, acting like environmental poisons. Actually, they're like the bad guy from the Superman movie that's making these genes even more powerful. And once set, these epigenetic marks can be passed on to your children and your grandchildren. So think about those numbers that we just shared on that screen with those children. All of those numbers, all of those increases in diseases, those are now children that have that alteration within their body. And when they grow up and they have children, they're going to pass that on to their own children and their grandchildren and for generations to come. This is not just about you and me. This is about generations, and it starts with us. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of childbearing age people on this call right now tonight, but I know it will be shared with some. So it is your responsibility to make sure that everyone that you know that's in childbearing age sees this video, knows these facts, and that they hopefully get freaked out enough that they make those changes. because we can detox. DNA alteration is not just a personal problem. It is a generational curse that we pass down. And we've passed it on to our children because none of us really knew this when we were growing up, except Troy Monroe. I think Troy's on here. And Troy probably knew. And Marcus too. I think Marcus was raised in a pretty, no, I don't think Marcus either. I think he was exposed to toxins and stuff as well. So conception is more than swapping that DNA. It is inheriting and passing down that toxic load. And before a child ever takes its first breath, their body may already be carrying a burden of environmental toxins. Studies show that babies are born pre-polluted, meaning toxic exposure begins actually not just in the womb, but before conception. And according to the landmark study, we talked about this just a second ago, but we've had a few people join recently. There was an analysis of umbilical cord blood from 10, actually it was, there were 40 different studies. So this is just the EWG, but there were 40 different studies done on this. And the newborn babies had an average of over 200 chemicals that were found in their cord blood in 100% of the tests that were done. 100% of the babies that were born had toxins in their cord blood. And again, the heavy metals like mercury and lead, the flame retardants, the PFCs, the phthalates, and the BPA, the pesticides banned decades ago like DDT, chemical solvents, and combustion byproducts. So daddies, listen up. Men, listen up. You got to have a talk. If you are in the childbearing ages and you are planning on having children, listen up. And if you're not, you need to make sure that you're talking to your man folk and letting them know this. So most people only focus on the mother's health during gestation, but dad's toxins are carried in his sperm. And science has shown that plastics, pesticides, smoking, alcohol damages the sperm DNA. Sperm can carry the mutations, inflammation, and poor mitochondrial health. Now, we've talked about the mitochondria before and how important that is for overall health. And this raises the risk of miscarriage, birth defects, and chronic illnesses in children. Environmental toxins don't actually change the DNA, but alter the genes on and off patterns, affecting the metabolism, hormones, and the immune system and brain development of your child that maybe was just conceived last night. So if you have all those toxins in your body and you've just conceived a child, there's a good chance that all of this has been passed on to that baby. Sperm and egg health are influenced by toxic exposures months before conception. BPAs and substitutes have been detected in human semen. Higher levels correlated with lower sperm counts and poor motility. Exposure to BPA and phthalates reduce sperm motility and DNA integrity. Sperm counts have declined by over 50% in the last 40 years. Phthalate metabolites from plastics and personal care products are linked to reduced sperm motility, abnormal morphology, and lower ejaculation volume. And then the forever chemicals, the PFAS in semen, are associated with the decreased sperm concentration, viability. The PFOA exposure in vitro increases the sperm immobility, meaning they don't move as fast. They can't get to that egg and reproduce. And so there's a global fertility crisis. And over the last 10 years, more and more women have had trouble getting pregnant. Between 2011 and 2015, that's 4 years, 7 in 100 married women could not conceive. And by 2015 to 2019, that had risen to nearly 9 in 100. So that's huge. That's a huge growth. And looking at all women ages 15 to 49, now, I don't know why they tested 15-year-olds, but it happens. Ages 15 to 49, roughly 13 out of every 100 now face difficulties having a baby. And again, you've got your endocrine disrupting chemicals like BPA and phthalates. You've got your forever chemicals, you've got your pesticides, you've got your lifestyle choices. Opting for organic foods, BPA free and phthalate free products, and using water filters helps reduce these toxic burdens and support reproductive health. Thankfully, our Go to Sauna line has the new cleaning and laundry products and the deodorant and toothpaste. I mean, there's 4 huge ones that you can knock out of someone's life and help them have a better reproductive cycle. And conception starts before the actual act. So eggs are exposed to the toxins stored in the ovarian tissue. Poor diet, stress, chemicals impair the egg quality. So this time, Mama, I'm talking to you or your daughter or your granddaughter that is in that childbearing age. And older women carry a lifetime accumulation of toxins, making detox even more important because that's going to lead to different ailments, the cardiovascular, the obesity, the memory care issues that are happening right now. We're dealing with that with my mother-in-law right now. And it can also lead to higher miscarriage risk. It's been linked to environmental chemicals. For example, a doubling of maternal PFOA exposure that's associated with roughly 50% high risk miscarriages in the first trimester. Chromosomal abnormalities account for about 60% of all first trimester miscarriages, with autosomal, I don't know what that word is, responsible for roughly another miscarriage, for 25%. And then during pregnancy, your baby's body is shaped by everything you breathe, pollution, fragrances, cleaning sprays, everything you eat, nutrient-rich foods or processed, sugary, chemical-laden foods, everything you feel, chronic stress and emotional safety, and then everything you live in, the mold, the EMF radiation, and then the just generic household toxins. These exposures affect the baby's brain, their hormone balance, their immune system, their epigenetics, turning genes on or off, health, disease, or healthy, organ development, the liver, the kidneys, the pancreas, the thyroid, they're all affected in this tiny little baby that hasn't even left the womb yet. And these dangers have shown the increase in the ADHD, the mood disorders, the asthma and the allergies, the obesity, the diabetes. It is also, the fetus is also being affected with infertility and hormone disorders. So there's going to be an even higher number over the next 20 years of people that cannot have children. And then the learning disabilities. Talk to any teacher and you will hear some really sad stories about some of the kids in their classroom. So there are some case studies out there linking the mother's stress level with different brain development type things. So maternal stress alters fetal brain tissue structure. Mold exposures linked to childhood wheezing and asthma. And then Yale University said prenatal stress can permanently change how the baby's brain responds to life. That's kind of scary, isn't it? Those poor babies, you can see why it broke my heart doing this stuff. So beyond the womb, I guess I did have a little bit more time. I could have fit more in there, but beyond the womb, in the home, when that child comes out, I mean, one of the first things they do is start vaccinating that child. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't understand why a baby would need a vaccine for a sexually transmitted disease. Now, there is talk in the health communities, in the frontier doctors, where hepatitis B vaccine was actually developed for drug dealers and prostitutes. But of course, they didn't show up for their shots to help stop the spread of AIDS or hepatitis. And then the pharmaceutical companies did not want to lose any money on all the money they put into research. And so they they provided documentation that it was going to help with herd immunity. And so they wanted to get everybody vaccinated for long-term effects. Well, the drug was designed for people with frequent sex partners, drugs, needle sharing, multiple sex partners, the drug dealers and the prostitutes. Well, I'm not a drug dealer and I'm not a prostitute and I'm not getting the hepatitis B vaccine because I don't need it. So there's my side rant right there, because that one I wanted to fit in here tonight and I didn't have time. So I'm glad I went a little bit faster. But so in the home, those babies come out, they start their vaccination schedule. And it used to be about 20, 30 vaccines, and now it's like 70 some by the time they're 18. It's just absolutely ridiculous, the over vaccination that's happening. I'm not anti-vax, but I do encourage you to do your due diligence, read the ones that, especially the ones that have a black box warning, read the ingredients, what are the dangers, and take those dangers to heart, because what if you were one of them that got one of those side effects? I know so many mamas whose babies had their mental lights go out on their 6-month checkup after getting their shots. Now, what if that was your baby? You would definitely become an anti-vax person at that point. So I'm just asking you to do your due diligence and be cautious. So then they come home. You've got candles burning. You have air freshener plug-ins. Those go through your house right now as soon as you get off this call and throw those plug-ins away. And so the air fresheners, the candles, the things like that, the baby's coming home, you're spraying that fake vanilla smell all through your house, and that baby's breathing in those phthalates and those forever chemicals. You've got you got your clean house, you bleached the floors, you cleaned all the countertops, you wanted everything to be perfect. You put that carpet freshener down on the carpet, so the whole home smells like Bed Bath and Beyond, which is extremely toxic. And then you've got your flame retardants on your furniture, you laundry detergent. You guys check out the ingredients on Dreft baby shampoo. I mean, that alone is scary. Non-stick cookware, your husband's making you a meal because you just got home from the hospital. You got that non-stick cookware, all that Teflon and the chemicals from that non-stick cookware going into the air, and the baby is reading it. The mold and indoor air pollutants, the lead and old paint and pipes. I don't know how many houses have that too much anymore. And the VOCs from paint and furniture. I didn't realize that when we moved in here, like we moved into this house the day after it was painted and the floor was done. In fact, both the painter and the flooring guys were working at the same time, and it just stunk in here. Like the chemicals were absolutely horrible in this house. And my husband's like, yeah, it's just off gas. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I did a liver detox right away after that, because I knew I had those chemicals in my body and I wanted to create that environment that clean the terrain, clean the garden, pluck the weeds. And then in their food and drink, how many times have you seen pictures of these adorable little babies sitting on the couch, watching those fun little kid cartoons on their iPad, and they've got a pack of white powdered donuts in their lap and they're eating those for breakfast. One, they're starting out their day with an insulin spike. 2, it's got bad chemicals in it. 3, the radiation coming off of it. It has the preservatives, has the high fructose corn syrup, the processed sugar. And then we go into antibiotics and hormones in meat. And the hormones in the meat and the milk, if they're drinking regular milk, then there's extra hormones in there from making the cow grow bigger and produce more milk. And that's being transferred down through their milk, even though they run it through processes and stuff. There's still hormones and things that they can't get out. And there's heavy metals in baby food and formula. Tap water toxins. If you don't have a filter and you're feeding your baby a glass of water out of the tap water, there's a problem. There's the fluoride, there's the chlorine, there's all the other chemicals. In Iowa, you've got the high nitrate levels. And then the sugar sweetened drinks, the little pouches, all of that stuff. That's all going in. Now think about that when that baby comes home, and think about, like, I'm thinking about when I raised my own children and what that was like looking back now, knowing what I know and all of those chemicals. And now they're, my son has two, my daughter hasn't started having kids yet. And then the environment, the air pollution, the lawn chemicals, spraying that yard's got to look good. That yard's got to look good. Let's get those chemicals down. School cleaning chemicals, the industrial waste and water contamination, the flame retardants in the dust, the EMF radiation and Wi-Fi electronics. Take the cell phones out, put them in a separate room. If you've got one of those Faraday bags, put them in there. Turn off your Wi-Fi at night. Cigarette smoke, secondhand vapors, the microplastics in the water, the pollen, mold, and industrial runoff. And, side note here that I didn't add is the food that we're giving them, even if they're sitting there eating a bag of carrots. One, if it's the baby carrots that you don't have to peel, you don't have to slice, those are soaked in bleach to get them clean and so that they preserve longer. So you're feeding your baby some bleach. Get the long carrots, get the organic carrots, spend a little bit more now so that you can save their health later on. And give them Fulvic. Give your babies Fulvic because that's going to give them those minerals that their cells are craving. And so the body is designed to heal. We know this. We've talked about this on so many Detox Diva calls. And the liver, it filters the toxins and regulates the hormones. It's also really helpful in weight loss for anyone that wants to lose weight. Kidneys, they flush out the water-soluble toxins. The gut eliminates the waste and houses your immune system. Why are kids so sick anymore? Well, a lot of them probably have leaky gut already. They've got all these chemicals that are floating through their body. Their gut digestion is not right. It can't work right because of all the chemicals that we've exposed them to. Skin and lungs release toxins through sweat and breath. So make them sweat, make them get outside, make them sweat. Modern life overwhelms these systems with toxins, sugar, and the stress these poor babies are under. And what you clear from your system now can change your child's future. If you've not had children yet, if you have had children, then we need to start detoxing them and giving them a better chance and help them get rid of those things so the epigenetics does not turn on and off those switches. And so when you do this, we're going to start with your liver. We're going to start with the liver detox. We're going to make sure your detox pathways are open. And that is the funnest part. I've had so many people tell me that this is the best liver cleanse that they've ever done. Professional detoxers say, I have never felt this good after. This is truly the best detox that I've ever done. It's so gentle. I wasn't in the bathroom and I felt fantastic when I was done. And so processed chemicals, hormones, and metabolic weight, the liver converts the fat-soluble toxins into water-soluble waste for elimination. Like, that's really cool. It regulates the blood sugar, the energy, and the hormone balance. If you've got hormone issues, start with your liver, start with your gut. And when your liver is congested, it cannot clear it out. You're going to have puffiness in your face. You're going to have puffiness in your chin. You're going to have puffiness in your gut. You're going to have edema and swelling. You're not going to be able to release the weight. And it can't clear out the environmental toxins. It can't clear out the extra estrogen and other hormones. And then it can't help the blood sugar properly, leading to that insulin resistance that we've been talking about in the past. So if you've not seen the insulin resistance series, just hop into my YouTube channel and you'll see all those there. And our 3-day liver cleanse kit clears the pathways and kickstarts that detox. And then the next thing you're going to want to do, don't forget a parasite cleanse. Like, I've seen babies, a mama is taking fulvic acid to replenish the minerals that the baby took from her while she's a crunchy mama. She does pretty much, she's low tox like me. And she was taking fulvic acid while breastfeeding her baby and saw a parasite come out in that probably 2-month-old baby diaper because the fulvic acid was transferring to the baby. Now, we don't want mamas to detox when they're breastfeeding. We want them to take maybe half or even a fourth of the fulvic while they're breastfeeding and while they're pregnant, because we don't want them to really detox. We just want to replenish those minerals. But this baby had a parasite come out in a BM in the diaper, and the mom was freaking out. We're like, yeah, if you have parasites and you are pregnant, that baby's going to have parasites. Like, there's a whole nother gamut. And what do parasites love? They love the heavy metals that you are putting on your skin. You're breathing in your air, you're eating in your food, all going to that baby, all providing that nutrient source for the parasites to thrive. And they produce waste that clog your liver and the gut. They steal the nutrients and release toxins that worsen inflammation. And parasites also disrupt the blood sugar balance, increasing cravings. Who's got cravings? And insulin resistance. Let me tell you, here's three keys that you've got parasites. Okay, I'll give you four. You grind your teeth when you sleep. You slobber when you sleep. You crave sugar all the time. And most of the parasites are pretty active when you're sleeping and stuff. So, and the other one is if you get an itchy butt when you're sleeping, you definitely have got some parasites. So a parasite cleanse, but you can't ever do a parasite cleanse with me unless you do the liver cleanse first, because it's just incredibly dangerous to do it any other way. And I see promoters out there saying, oh, just do a parasite cleanse. That is so unhealthy. And I call them out on it. So, and like I said, parasites can pass to the fetus, and they can be in your lungs, your tissues, your muscles, your joints, your skin, your lymph system, your brain, your eyes. I had a girlfriend, she passed a parasite out the roof of her mouth, and she was like, and it wasn't all the way out, like it was hanging there. It was really gross. And she says, the worst part about this is I know I'm going to swallow it, is what she said to me. I'm like, girl, I know. I would be the same way. I was just sick to my stomach. And the next day, the parasite was not in her mouth. So replenish with that fulvic acid, nourish your body and nourish that new life. It pulls the heavy metals and pesticides and radiation from your cells. It delivers the essential trace minerals for energy and repair. It boosts nutrient absorption from your food, and it supports that gut health. It's going to help everything in your body and improve detox at that cellular level. It's got essential minerals for the baby's development. It replenishes the nutrients that are lost during pregnancy. It boosts the natural detoxification, enhance the gut health, support energy. All those new mamas need energy and immune function. We can't have those new mamas getting sick, can we? And we do use the best fulvic on the market. We've tried several different brands, and nothing compares to the results we get from this one. Ours is a food grade, organic, plant-based fulvic acid. There's no fillers, no synthetics that you find in a lot of them. And Shilajit is a hard no for me because the chemical extraction process. So if you want more information on that, let me know. One thing that I did not address, I don't know where that slide went. I thought it had it in here. For those of you that are thinking of having babies, or you know someone that is going to be having babies, you want to make sure that they start detoxing 3 to 4 months before they try to conceive, so that the cells can regenerate, the liver can detox, your detox pathways are open, eliminate the fragrances, the toothpaste, the deodorant, the skin lotions, the shampoos, the laundry detergent, things like that. Start preparing that body for, I call it my godly vessel. Start preparing your body for a pure environment, so that when you do create that new life form, you're giving it the best life before conception even. Because we talked about the eggs, we talked about the sperm and how those can also carry those things and the mutations. And so we want to make sure that we're doing these detoxes before conception. And so the action plan, if you are someone that is wanting to have a baby, you're going to want to start with the liver cleanse to clear out your pathways. You're going to follow that with a parasite cleanse to remove the deeper blockages. They can help block those pathways also. We're going to take fulvic acid every day. Out of all of the products that we carry in this company, fulvic acid is foundational to everything else that we carry. You're going to eliminate the processed foods, the plastics, and the toxic cleaners. And you're going to prioritize sleep, hydration, and movement so that we can get that detoxing going. And you start now because your health legacy begins today. So a little dirt won't hurt. How many times did you hear that? How many times did your mama say when you got a skin knee, oh, just go rub some dirt on it? There are so many amazing minerals in dirt. And I'm so grateful that this company brought fulvic acid on. So these are just a handful of the products that we have for kids and their immune health. We've got the fulvic acid. Sol is good for, I believe, ages 3 and up. Sol's a great green superfood that helps detox those babies. And I tell you what, you start detoxing your babies, you're going to have better acting kids. They're going to be more attentive. They're going to be smarter in school. They're going to sleep better at night. They're going to be less stressed, and they're not going to throw the tantrums as often as they would with all those toxins in their body. Tox Be Gone is an excellent this one should be in every cabinet for people that have babies. Tox Be Gone is an excellent essential oil to apply. It's made for kids after they've been on a round of antibiotics. This is going to help restore the gut and help the baby after they've been on the antibiotics, because antibiotics kills off both good and bacteria. Bad bacteria, leaving that child very vulnerable to diseases and stuff. And those 4 products on the right, that is our back to school kit. That is the end all be all right there for your kids' immune health. That kids try remedy. Think of that as a natural alternative to support somebody that would typically be on antibiotics or something like that. So kids try remedy is, I'll say, watered down, but it is diluted. So it's safe for kids. You would put it on the bottom of your feet. There are some great instructions on the product information page for that, but that's going to be used for 10 days only. Okay. Don't use Try Remedy more than 10 days in a row because it's that powerful. Then you're going to get the Kids Wellness. That's your daily. The Kids Wellness is like an essential oil vitamin in a bottle, and that is so great for the kids to be able to use. And of course, fulvic acid. I could talk your legs off. If any of you have lost a leg on this call because I talk about fulvic acid, let me know in the comment, because I could talk about that all day. And then it's going to have a sample size of the black seed oil. And the black seed oil is great for immune health. Those kids can take that black seed oil too. And the great thing about it is black seed oil is buy one, get one free this month. Like, this is the time to stock up on black seed oil and use your reward points. Like, do everything you can to get that black seed oil. The kits are amazing. So get this. So this one on the left here, right? So there's a kit. And I did not know Paula did this, and you guys probably don't either. But the last time I showed this screen, it was possibly Black Friday or maybe last year's July sale. I pulled this slide from a different presentation. What is the price at the bottom of those 8 bottles? It's $159.95, right? I had to change the prices on these bottles, you guys. That was $189.95 the last time I had this slide. The buy 3, get 1 free was $89. And we all know that the single bottle of black seed oil dropped from $29.95 to $25.95. Now, what company does that other than a CEO with heart that wants to take care of people? And so with that, buy 8, if you put that on auto ship, you're going to get, that's not 12, it's 10. You're going to get 10 free gift cards to give out to your friends so they can get black seed oil. You're going to get your member reward points of 5%. You're going to get 5% off the price of that. You're going to get an additional 5% off. You're going to get 16 bottles for free. Plus, you're going to get all of these essential oils for free as well. We've got a bottle of the Kids Wellness. We've got Palmarosa. We've got oregano, breathe, pink grapefruit, sweet basil, lemon, ginger root, and grapeseed oil. Now, we just did a call last week with my friend Martha on the Kids Wellness, the Palmarosa, the breathe and stuff, and that's going to come free. With this kit here, $159 for 8 bottles of black seed oil. You're going to get 16 bottles for free, plus $180 in essential oils. Now, that's a mic drop right there. And one thing I do want to say too is all of our products are made in the USA because we manufacture them ourselves. So if you just get the 1 bottle of black seed oil, you get that free one with it. And or these are some other 25 CV orders that you could do. You could do a bottle of fulvic acid. You could do the magnesiums. You could do the superfoods, the tooth powders. You'll get that free bottle of Breathe. If you have a 50 CV order, you're going to get, which is like a castor oil fat wrap, which I love doing castor oil fat wraps. You're going to get the Lyme support. We have, if you know anybody with Lyme, there is a 2 essential oils called Lyme support that's very, very effective. That was formulated specifically for Lyme by Alexandria. The back to school kit. Get the back to school kit. You'll get all the oils in that. You'll get the ginger root, the pink grapefruit, the Breathe essential oil, the lemon, and the sweet basil. Like crazy, isn't it? All the freebies that she's given away this month. And then over on the Go to Sauna side is our Seasons of Success Club, which is an essential oil. It's like a subscription box you get each month. This month it's Joy, which I love Joy. The intention with that is being in a business that can help people change their lives gives me great joy. Absolutely. And being on this call tonight with you gives me great joy. I am thankful for each and every one who has chosen to come along with me on this adventure. And as I inhale the Joy blend, I feel happy, joyful, and enthusiastic for what's to come. So that's in the Seasons of Success. Guess what? That's going to come with a free Breathe essential oil. Add on the laundry detergent, the personal cleaner, and bump that up to 100 CV if you can, and you'll get that whole kit of essential oils for free. Directly after this, if this inspired you enough to share with someone else and help them, we have a plug and play system. You don't have to know anything on how to do this business. You don't know how, all you got to do is say, hey, you know what? I saw you couldn't sleep. I've been using this magnesium sleep spray and I'm sleeping better. You should try it. They're like, okay, let me see. How do I get it? Well, here's my wellness store. You'll be given 4 or 5 websites. Marcus is going to go over all of that on the call here in just a minute. Oh gosh, it's starting now. Okay, all of y'all got to hang up right now because I didn't end up going over. Everybody hop over to oneteam1dreamhangout.com and go see Marcus's call. Have a great night. Bye.